Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State coming under more scrutiny. Here's what happened when a reporter asked a State Department spokesperson to list one achievement from an initiative that was launched under Clinton's watch.
Can you, off the top of your head, identify one tangible achievement that resulted from the last QDDR?
I am certain that those who were here at the time, who worked hard on that effort, could point out one. That
since you've come on board, that you've noticed, that someone has said that you noticed that you can point back to saying, wow, the first QDDR identified this as a problem and dealt with it.
Well, as you know, I've only been here since it was concluded.
Okay.
So I'm sure there are a range of things that were put into place that I'm not even aware of were a result.
I won't hold my breath.
Well, so will moments like this come back to haunt Hillary Clinton if she does decide to run in 2016? Joining us now is Alison Howard, Communications Director for Concerned Women for America, which is a public policy women's organization, and Chris Kofinis, former Chief of Staff to Democratic West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Joe, I'll start with you. When you hear something like this, and you also know that polling recently suggests that the fact that Hillary Clinton is a woman in politics and her being First Lady is one of her biggest credentials, what do you think her biggest achievement was? Chris, you can go ahead and take that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant I didn't hear that question. I'm sorry.
What do you think her biggest achievement was? And would she simply be another candidate that would be a Hollywood celebrity type candidate like Barack Obama?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think that's a concern either amongst Democrats or most people who are going to be watching if she decides to run. Listen, I think you can look at it in terms of two ways. You're a Secretary of State. I think you look at it in terms of the bigger accomplishments, which was helping transition the United States out of involvements in both Iraq and Afghanistan, both significant things. She was an integral part of going after bin Laden, also a significant thing. She helped move our strategic focus more towards Asia. Now, if you wanted to get micro-detailed about it, you could talk about the Turkish-Armenian Accords, which was a significant diplomatic breakthrough. You could talk about the New START Treaty. But, you know, this notion of it somehow, you know, where was the significant Middle East, you know, peace deal under her watch? Well, you know, here's the reality. That hasn't happened under any Secretary of State's watch. So I think part of this, you know, criticism is kind of silly, to be honest.
Well, Alison, when you hear even Clinton being asked what her biggest achievement being, and at a women's conference here in New York City earlier this month said it was passing the baton, what do you make of that?
Well, some would say, let's give Jen a break here. Not many Americans would be able to list a tangible accomplishment of Ms. Clinton in her time here. And just as you said before, many are stating that her time as First Lady and that her time as a strong woman in a political position is her most important credentials. And I appreciate our guests coming on here and towing the line, but it's been a few days. This has been well documented, and people have failed to bring up some of these positive things we should be associating with Hillary. She has a huge problem in issues like Benghazi and scandals.
Right.
One, I know it's hard to lose, it is easy to lose track of some in the cacophony here in Washington, D.C., but as the head of the TIP office, which is dedicated to abolishing sex trafficking worldwide, which she is the head of, we are now having Inspector General memos come out that in her own security detail, there are security officials engaging in prostitution globally, specifically on her trips to Colombia and Russia. That's a problem. You can't champion women's rights and come back, as you said, to position yourself in a place of authority and not take into account what's going on in your own home, under your own nose.
Yeah, there is some irony there when it does come under the jurisdiction of Secretary of State there. Chris?
Actually, no, just to be honest, I don't think there is any irony. I don't think you can blame the Secretary of State for the terrible decisions and actions of some of her employees, especially considering how large the State Department is. But nonetheless, go ahead.
But some would say that it was just swept under the rug and just go ahead and move on rather than have a significant punishment and public display. Chris?
Well, if you want to talk about specifically about Benghazi, I mean, I think Secretary Clinton, or former Secretary Clinton, has been very direct about the fact that she's taken responsibility for what happened there. There were a lot of mistakes, and So I'm not sure what else people want her to do. But the reality is when someone takes responsibility for the events that happen under her watch, that is, I think, exactly what you need to do when mistakes happen. So this is kind of, a silly criticism that somehow her watch should have been perfect, and on top of that, she should have achieved some Middle East peace.
Well,
she's an incredibly accomplished woman. It
certainly is a blunder when 4 innocent Americans
Yes, there's no
question
lives. About that.
Right.
But there's no question about that.
And another, again,
Alison and Chris, I apologize. That's all the time we have. We're going to have to leave it there.
No problem. Thanks.
Appreciate your time this morning.